invest in and follow principles. That has proved to be pretty successful.
This landlord's gonna make almost $2 million over the next 12 years for doing something one time. And that's like residual. This guy's got another 7 retail spaces and he's got 10 stories of apartments above it. And I'm like, man, I'm on the wrong side of the coin, right? I need to own real estate, not broker it.
You start doing deals that are absolutely life-changing, like that put you on the path for intergenerational wealth.
Welcome to the Real Estate Home Runs podcast. I am your host, Louis Van der Horst. This is a podcast for busy professionals who want to learn about passive income producing strategies that have helped others crush it in the real estate world. Whether you are a new or seasoned real estate investor, this is the podcast for you. Mike Ealy, thank you for joining us in the Real Estate Home Runs podcast. Say what's up to my audience and tell us about your background.
What's up, buddy? I'm Mike Ealy. Thanks so much for having me, Louise, man. It's great, man. I do real estate, brother, man. We start off doing single families. You know, some people call it house hacking. I call it getting a roommate. And then now they call it the BRRRR. Man, I just call it getting a property and refinancing to get my money back, right? And then I got into apartments, hotels, and development, and I wrote a book here, From Broke to Millions, where we talk about how to acquire apartments, how to analyze. That's kind of me, brother. You know, literally went from broke to millions, man.
And you started off with the house hacking. You want to explain also, before we even get into it, what house hacking is? I was on the phone with someone and they were like, house hacking, what's that? What does it mean to have a roommate? And why would someone want to start with that?
Yeah, man, they coined the phrase. So basically living rent free, buying a house, whether it's a 2-family or 4-family. And then the other people, whether you get a roommate or you get tenants in the building and they pay your mortgage. And hopefully if you do it right, they cover not only your mortgage expense, but your taxes, insurance, and utilities. And so the whole goal is try to live rent free. And look, you don't have to have a 2-family or 4-family. You can do it with a single family house. A lot of you guys or ladies or even adults, you buy a house, especially out in California, New York, where that mortgage is astronomical. You get you some roommates that'll pay $800 to $1,000 each. And guess what? Now that $3,000 mortgage or $4,000 mortgage, you got 2 or 3 roommates that pay that. And now you're living rent free. And so that's the old idea. They call it house hacking. I call it get a roommate.
That's great. And some people do it to take advantage also of the interest rates.
Absolutely.
Because it counts as a residence rather than an investment.
Absolutely.
So that's a great leverage there too. How did you get the real estate bug? Like, I could tell you're a little passionate about real estate.
For me, it was when I was younger, man. I was about 15, 16, and I can't say it was there. I always had an interest of making money, and I started seeing people make money, and I just didn't understand, well, how come these people can make money and these people over here still broke? Like, it didn't make sense to me. And then why is it that people could be billionaires and some people still got to work a 9 to 5? And as I started reading, I learned that they were investing. And really, I wanted to get into the stock market. And back then, there were junk bonds. Well, I found out about junk bonds. And actually, the initial investment was $50,000. You know, I was 15, 16 years old. I was like, I ain't got no $50,000. So I literally closed that book, put it back on the shelf. And I found Robert Allen, No Money Down, in the 90s. And that's why I started learning these different techniques on how to buy real estate with no money. And now for me, I didn't act on it right away. I was 15, 16 years old. Almost 10 years later, I bought my first 2-family. And that was the beginning of my real estate career.
Okay. And now are you strictly doing commercial hotels, or are you dabbling to single family as well?
Yeah, after I got that 2-family, we worked our way up. I did a 2-family. And that's when I was living rent free, the house hacking. Then I bought 2 4-families with another no money down technique. And then I bought another 2-family that was next door to my first 2-family I bought. I did that again with no money down. The owner held a second mortgage and I did well. And I started buying more and more, but I was over leveraging. And that's when I lost it all. Literally, I went broke. I didn't have any strategy. Got evicted out of my own crib, moved back home with my mom and dad. And I started all over again. I wanted to figure out how to do it. I started finding some investors. And from there, I started finding investors. And then I started doing single family flips and was successful and clearing instead of a couple of thousand, I was clearing 20, 30, $50,000. And then we went from, I was being successful now. It was like I shot bigger and then we started doing 4 families, 8 units. Then we got a 48 unit. And then from there, it got bigger. And then next thing you know, we had the opportunity to get into hotels. And here we are, hotels, warehouses, 300 unit complexes, just continue to push myself beyond our comfort zone.
And you want to share anything about it? Because some people that think like you were saying, oh, how do they make millions? And these people are working their 9 to 5s. I can never buy those hotels because I don't have the millions. How are regular folks, being able to invest in deals like that?
Look, man, I had no credit. In fact, I had bad credit. I had no cash. I had no option but to use this no money down option techniques. And from there, and here's the thing, I don't care how big you are, people are still using these techniques. They still using other people's money, OPM, to be their investors. And they use that money, as they call it, syndication, to raise for the down payment. And it's that simple. So I didn't grow up around money, but I had to understand the money language. And that money language is cash on cash, internal rate of return, cap rates, right? How to leverage the bank. And all these things were all the things that you need. But one of the other things is being yourself. The reason I've been successful is because I just continue to be myself. And look, when I first went out to raise money, yes, a lot of doors got slammed in my face. I heard no so many times, I thought it was my second name. When they said no, I just thought I was getting closer to yes. So I'll just keep asking more and more people. And eventually I learned what people were looking for. And really, when you go into a meeting raising capital, you're thinking that, oh, you have to be this person that's done so many deals and you have to have a resume. And all of that's true in perspective, but you just have to have the right team and associate yourself with the right people. And because of that, I was able to leverage my resources, the people I worked with. And when you talk, they don't want to hear about you. They want to hear about what you can do and can you pay them back? Can you pay me my money back? Are you going to lose it? If it gets tough, because people understand, it gets tough, but what are you going to do? Are you going to keep fighting for my money? Or are you just going to lay over and quit? And those are the things. We help people get to their investment destination. And because of that, that's why we've been successful in raising capital.
And some people don't know that they can use their retirement accounts to invest in large apartment deals.
Absolutely.
And instead of leaving their money in the bank, which is actually losing money due to inflation, they're putting it to work, getting a higher return. That was something that once I learned that, it was like transformational.
Yeah, man, that's transformational. All these techniques people tell you shouldn't do, but yet you'll use it to buy you a liability, right? People's like, oh man, credit cards are just for emergencies or when you need to buy some clothes or put something like that. But you can use credit cards to leverage for your down payment. I remember one of my first deals, I used a credit card to acquire the real estate. I got a cash advance for my down payment and I used the rest of the money to pay the labor. Credit cards, all debt is not bad debt. It's not. You got to understand there is good debt. Debt that creates income, cash flow, equity, good debt.
And that someone else is paying for you.
There you go. Debt where you paying and you going on shopping sprees and you spending more than your cash flow, that's bad debt. Hey, you got to figure it out. And so there's so many different ways. Life insurance policies. And look, some of you are like, man, I don't have a life insurance policy. I don't have a 401k. Well, first of all, you need to get one or two. And second of all, that's okay. Guess what? When you pitch an investor, they may say, I don't really have any money. And they're like, well, do you have a life insurance policy? Do you have a credit card? We can leverage that to get into deals. And they're just looking for people like you and me to get them in a safe, secure deal so that they can get great returns.
Yeah. Would you mind sharing about one particular deal that you have liked or that you got some good lessons from? Walk us through how you guys were able to find that, fund it. And are you guys still holding on to that property, or
Yeah, no, plenty of deals, man. I mean, I'll tell you about an old one. My first deal, I made $1 million, just straight out. Like I made $1 million, but not straight on one deal. And it was a 40 unit I bought. And actually, we bought it for like $220,000, and we wanted to wholesale. You know, Ealy was like, man, we could sell this thing for $400,000 or $500,000, make $200,000-300,000 in less than 30 or 60 days. Like, who wouldn't want that?
not picking up a hammer or anything?
Yeah, not nothing. And then my partner was like, no, man, let's keep it. I was like, why would we want to do that? This thing is only worth $600,000-700,000. And it's like the cash flow. And I know how to manage it. And then at that time, we started what they call CCIM, Certified Commercial Investment Members. We was taking those courses and we were learning about the value of the cash flow. See, back then, we were just looking like, I think it's worth this because this is what I think it's worth. And it's in the hood. But cash flow, even though it's in the hood, doesn't matter. It's about how much cash you can generate and that cap rate. And so this property we thought was only really worth $600,000-700,000 ended up being worth $1.6 million. And we were all in it for $400,000. I used no money down techniques. I went out and got OPM, other people's money, and they gave me a secured loan. They lent me the $400,000 at 11% with 2 points. And I was generating $10,000 or $12,000 a month after expenses. So after debt, we were netting $4,000 to $6,000 a month, and we created equity. And so we sold it, and I netted $1 million just using these same strategies. And I continue to use these same strategies when we acquire hotels. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's widgets or gadgets, you're doing a business, venture capitalism, it's all the same thing. It just so happened real estate is my widget and gadget.
Wow. So that's a home run deal there that you guys were able to do. What did you do to increase the cap rate on something like that? Because that's a significant difference from.
Yeah, no, man, it was a matter of time and inflation. So when we bought, I think properties were selling at 10 or 11 cap, maybe at 12. And because we had just came out of the Great Recession, a lot of people, the market was pulling all their money out of stocks. They stopped buying businesses and they wanted to buy secure assets, brick and mortar. So they started buying real estate. And as that demand increased, the cap rate began to compress. Therefore, the value began to increase. So literally in a 4 or 5 year period, we saw a cap rate go from 11 to a 7% cap rate, which was phenomenal, right? Because if we'd have sold it at a 10 cap, at the most it would have been worth 1.1, 1.2. But because it dropped all the way to 7, 7.5, we got the 1.6. And I was just like, man, this is great timing. And hell, if I would have stayed with it, not only did the cap rate, the rents increased. I was only charging $500 for one, $600 for the twos. Now we just sold that, I think 18. 3 years later, now that rent is $900 for the twos and $700 for the ones.
Wow.
That property is worth about $3 million now.
Wow.
So just to give you an idea, $3 million if we would have held on. So if we would have held on for another 2 or 3 years, we could have got another $1.5 million. Man, it was C property. I was like, man, we upgrade. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. And people got to know their risk tolerance and what kind of classes, locations they're looking for. Because if you're in the hood for a long time, you're going to be getting a lot of maintenance phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ask all my guests this. What are 3 things that have helped you hit real estate home runs?
One of my failures, man. I was like, oh, you know what? I don't want to do that again. So I avoid those. Really, it was a lot of my mistakes, man. I wish I could tell you. I did a lot of reading. I did surround myself around other people that were doing it. And because of their success, I was able to ride their coattail a little bit. You know, when they had a deal and they didn't want it, I was like, well, give it to me. And they'll wholesale it to me. And that's created cash flow. And as we continue to work on things like now, because I have to watch them, I saw how they were grinding it out. And I saw how I was like, man, I don't want to work it like that. Like, that seems like too much. and how I would level up. And I was, the big thing I say is surrounding yourself by other people that's doing what you want or more successful than you. I mean, because that just changed my whole perspective. I mean, look, I was making, I don't know, 300,000-400,000 a year. I was 28, 29 years old. And I was like, man, this is pretty good. And I started looking around, and first of all, but I was working 16-hour days, 7 days a week. And I would look back and reflect on the other people. They were making double what I was making and doing less work. What are they doing? And then I met people that were doing larger deals, probably not as they were bigger. And the amount of work I put in for a single family, 4-family, they will put the same amount of work in for this $5 million, $10 million, $20, $30 million deal. But when I was done, I was only netting $5, $10, $20,000. When they were done, they were netting $1 million to $20 million a deal. And I was like, you know what? I quit. I'm doing these deals. Let's go. Yeah. And you got the same problems I got. They property manager wasn't leasing on time. The real estate agent didn't sell. Construction didn't meet the time. So then they had to refund the sale contract. Or people were breaking in, stealing copper. I got them same issues. Mm-hmm. Like I thought you would avoid these in these high multi-million-dollar deals. Yeah, somewhat, but surround yourself by other people and always think big and know that you're more than average and you're deserving and you get what you put in. Some people are lucky, man, but they give, man. You just don't have to give financially. You don't have to just give with your time. It's giving effort to your business, giving your all to your relationships, your resources, because my relationships of me giving back in deals, guess what I gave to them? Like, let's say their commission was 2% or 3%. I gave the broker a tip. Sometimes I gave them an extra point just for bringing me a deal. And guess what? Now, whenever they got a deal, guess what they do? Hey, Mike, I got another deal for you, brother. Because they know Mike's going to take care of them. And so guess what? I don't work hard looking for deals. People call me because they know we're going to take care of them and we're going to close.
That's good. And building that reputation takes time. And if you have the right team, it kind of accelerates that process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how can people stay in contact with you?
You can reach out to me at Nassau, www.nassauinvest.com. That's NASSAU invest, INVESTS.com. You can find my book there. If you want to looking to be an investor, if you want to learn more and take real estate courses, you just go to our website and we'll take care of you, man.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciated you being here.
Hey, no problem, man. Anytime. Call me back anytime.
We hope you enjoyed this interview and got some value out of it to help you in your real estate investing journey. If you can take just a minute, please do us a favor and leave a review. Hit the like button on iTunes or whatever platform you listen to our podcast on, and subscribe so you can hear future episodes. Also, don't forget to check out our Real Estate Home Runs Podcast Community Facebook group, where you are able to connect with some great listeners. If you're an investor who is crushing it and want to share some information centered around passive income in real estate, please contact us. Hit those home runs, and we will see you next time.